Good morning, everybody. It is 9 o'clock here on a Friday morning. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Jane Monreal. For those of you observing Good Friday, may you have a good 3-day holiday approaching Easter. And it's been a tough couple of days, past couple of 24 hours, I should say. We had a lot of breaking news yesterday. Of course, one of those stories local in the Charlotte area. I want to get you caught up now if you haven't heard this bus accident that happened around 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon. We can confirm one person has died. That person's information not released yet, but several people hurt, taken to the hospital, and all caused by the tire blowing out of a school bus. You could see there from our drone shot that bus flipped over onto its side, and there were actually 3 buses on a field trip in the Charlotte area heading back into Columbia, South Carolina. West Columbia, Pine Ridge Middle is where the students were from. And on that bus that you see, we do know, according to officials, their press release yesterday did confirm that 2 adults were on board and nearly 35 students. And again, this morning, we can tell you one person confirmed dead. Really just a tragic situation here. Terrible accident as they are now on spring break this weekend and into next week. So all these kids were on a field trip and just heading back to school. We feel for their families. Traffic-wise, definitely jammed. 55 is where it happened. Southbound side, again, coming back from Charlotte down through Chester County and mile marker 55. And as you can see from this aerial shot, it is a parking lot. This was blocked for hours. Northbound side as well, as they landed a number of medevac choppers taking victims from this crash to local hospitals. We saw Atrium Health on one of those medevac choppers, and dozens of emergency crews on scene. We saw a lot of medevac and not medevac, but ambulances going down the median trying to deal with the victims here. So as you can imagine, a terrible situation as we are the morning after this accident that happened South 55 into Chester County. So we will continue to follow that as well. You can imagine if you were stuck on this yesterday, it was not moving. Surrounding surface streets were also jammed, and it was like that for a while. But, you know, at least you weren't in the accident, is all I say. You do not lose a person, a family member, a friend in the crash. Northbound side of the 55, northbound side of 77, I should say, at mile marker 55, eventually reopened as we were coming up on the air and doing several cut-ins through regular programming yesterday afternoon. Lanes did reopen north 55, but that was still hours later. And as you can imagine, traffic still snarled even on the northbound side. It was backed up for miles. Also want to get you caught up with the other breaking news story that happened yesterday. The latest, what we know this morning, around a mass shooting that happened on campus at the Student Union at Florida State University in Tallahassee. 2 people confirmed dead and at least 6 people dealing with injuries to varying degrees. They went to the hospital, and yesterday we do know that it was the sheriff's deputy's son who is now in custody. The person, Phoenix Eichner, is what authorities said his name was. He is the son of a Leon County deputy who was with the county sheriff, is with the county sheriff's office there in Leon County, which handles Tallahassee, for 18 years. And he had access to one of her weapons. That weapon found at the scene of the crime yesterday afternoon. As far as a motive is concerned, we do not have that yet. Details are still ongoing, and the investigation will continue. So we will get more details as this develops as to what happened. We also learned that the deputy's son was involved with the youth council as well. So it goes without saying, a tragic situation there. So many people concerned as this happened around noon time, so a busy time on campus, and they had just returned from spring break. The full press conference ran in the 4 o'clock news. So if you joined us on WCNC Charlotte at 4, we broke into our regular newscast to bring you this press conference. We're going to play that for you right now in its entirety. If you missed any of it, and you'll get more details here from local law enforcement out of Tallahassee. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
My name is Jason Trumbauer, and I'm the Chief of Police at Florida State University. All Florida State University classes and business operations on the main campus in Tallahassee are canceled through Friday, April 18th. Essential employees should check with their supervisors for further reporting instructions. All FSU athletic events in Tallahassee are canceled through Sunday. At approximately 11:50 a.m. Thursday, April 17th, a gunman opened fire on the main campus of Florida State University in Tallahassee, shooting multiple individuals in the vicinity of the Student Union building. FSU police responded immediately, engaged, neutralized, and apprehended the shooter. 2 victims are deceased, and 5 individuals have been transported to a local hospital with gunshot wounds. The shooter has also been transported to a local hospital. The 2 deceased are not students. The shooter is believed to be a current FSU student. I do not have additional information on the shooter's identity at this time. Students who need assistance can go to the Donald L. Tucker Center, where the university is providing counseling, health care, and other support services. Family members are also able to go to the Tucker Center for assistance. Students, faculty, and staff are asked to call their loved ones as soon as possible to update them on their status. The Student Union and the surrounding area is still considered an active crime scene. Individuals should avoid the area. Students should not return to the Student Union to retrieve personal property at this time. Students may return to their residence halls, but they should otherwise stay indoors on main campus to allow first responders and university staff to do their jobs and respond to those needing assistance. Students may depart campus for the weekend. All classes have been canceled through Friday. Before I turn this over to Chief Revel, I want to thank all the brave men and women of the FSU PD for responding immediately to the scene. I also want to thank the responding agencies who have provided assistance to FSU today big time, including the Tallahassee Police Department, the Leon County Sheriff's Office, the Florida Highway Patrol, Leon County Emergency Medical Services, FDLE, and all other responding agencies today. We really appreciate your support. That's all the information I have at this time. We'll have additional update for you later today. Chief Revel.
Good afternoon. I am Chief Revel with the Tallahassee Police Department. As the shooting occurred today, our officers, as well as every single other officer in this city and county, responded immediately to this scene. Once on scene and once we began working through what was occurring and what we were working, in consultation with FSU, Tallahassee Police Department was asked to take lead on this. So we will be the lead for this investigation in both the officer involved shooting portion of this as well as the homicide portion of this. I will come up after the last speaker and entertain just a few questions, but needless to say, we have multiple crime scenes. This is a very large area we're covering. We have thousands, hundreds or thousands of witnesses. And again, this is an active, ongoing investigation. So the information that we will be allowed to release right now may be fairly limited. I'll answer what I can at that time. But I will assure you that as soon as we can, any information that becomes available, we will make that available to you. One of the things in the process, and again, understand that this is an ongoing active investigation. So things are happening as we are standing here and as we are speaking. We have identified the shooter, obviously. He's at the hospital. So with more on that, I'm going to allow the sheriff to come up and speak on that portion of it.
Thank you, Chief. As Chief Revel indicated, I'm Walt McNeil, Leon County Sheriff. First and foremost, let me express our gratitude to the responding law enforcement agencies in this community. Our citizens should feel some degree of comfort knowing that your law enforcement agencies are going to respond and do exactly what we did in this case, that is, bring the offender to justice and to make sure that we do what we can to make sure we lock him or her up. Let me say to you, this is obviously a heinous crime. Our deepest condolences go out to the FSU family, the families of the students who are here, and we understand that you all have been devastated because of this person's actions. The question as it relates to who is the shooter is 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner, and he's the son of a Leon County Sheriff deputy. Our Deputy Eichner, has been with the Leon County Sheriff's Office for over 18 years. She has a tremendous job that she's done. Her service to this community has been exceptional. Unfortunately, her son had access to one of her weapons, and that was one of the weapons that was found at the scene. And we are continuing that investigation into how that weapon was used and what other weapons perhaps he may have had access to. The alleged shooter was also a long-standing member of the Leon County Sheriff's Office Citizen Advisory or Youth Advisory Council. So he has been steeped in the Leon County Sheriff's Office family, engaged in a number of training programs that we have. So it's not a surprise to us that he had access to weapons. This event is tragic in more ways than you people in the audience could ever fathom from a law enforcement perspective. But I will tell you this. We will make sure that we do everything we can to prosecute and make sure that we send a message to folks that this will never be tolerated here in Leon County, and I dare say across this state and across this nation. Thank you. Let me bring up the FBI Assistant Special Agent in charge, Hubert Reynolds.
Good afternoon. My name is Hubert Reynolds, and I'm the Acting Special Agent in charge of the Jacksonville Field Office. I want to echo those standing with me what a horrific crime this is, and we stand with you fully. We have an office here in Tallahassee, and we are fully engaged with providing any resources that we can bring to bear to help with this investigation moving forward. We've established a digital tips media line where you can upload photos, videos prior to and during the incident. If you were there from social media, please upload all of that. I will give you now the website address. You can upload any tips to www.fbi.gov/FSU shooting. Again, that's www.fbi.gov/FSU shooting. I want to assure you that we are going to bring every available resource to be able to help the community and the local people here. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Richard McCullough, Rick McCullough, the president of Florida State University. This is a tragic day for Florida State University. We're absolutely heartbroken by the violence that occurred on our campus earlier today. 2 have died. 5 other innocents are being treated for their injuries. We're working to support the victims, their families, and everyone affected by this traumatic event. I just returned from the hospital where the First Lady and I met some of our students who were the victims. Our hearts go out to our students and the victims of this terrible tragedy. I have to say that our law enforcement, our FSU police officers, are absolute heroes in this regard. The call went out, someone called it in, and immediately they responded to the scene and immediately neutralized the suspect and prevented this from being a bigger tragedy. I want to thank them so much for what they do to try to keep our students safe. I want to thank all the law enforcement partners, FSU Police, Tallahassee Police, Leon County Sheriff's Department, Florida Highway Patrol, and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and all other responding agencies for their rapid and courageous response. I want to thank everybody that came out to visit with the students and to help us and to be here today for this press conference, and I appreciate so much the support that you're all providing to our university and to our students. We're fully cooperating with the investigation, and we defer to law enforcement as they continue their work. I'd also like to thank all the healthcare providers at Tallahassee Memorial Hospital that are treating and providing outstanding care to our victims. Right now, our top priority is safety and well-being for all the people and our campus. As it was said, classes are canceled on the main campus today and tomorrow, and all FSU athletics events on Tallahassee are canceled through Sunday. We also want to tell you that counseling and psychological services are available to students, faculty, and staff, and anyone that needs that should call 850-644-2003. We're also providing support for faculty and staff through our Employee Assistance Program. And so if you need any help, please reach out. We'll continue to communicate with the campus community as we know more. This is a deeply emotional time, but we're all here to support each other. We're going to do everything we can to support our community. We're a strong and united community, and we're family. And so we'll take care of all of you.
And that was yesterday's press conference out of Tallahassee, played for you in its entirety, catching you up on that active shooting situation there on campus at FSU. Just a terrible situation there. We will continue to follow those developing details. Also want to let you know that this morning at Lexington 2, that is the school district in West Columbia where the bus from Charlotte was involved in that fatal crash yesterday on South 77 near mile marker 55 in Chester County. It is open to families parents, students who need it. There will be some resources there from 9 until noon today, and then spring break starts next week. Students returning back to Pine Ridge Middle on the 28th. And you heard there from the president of FSU that they will have resources available as well for those who need it. We have our own resource here this morning right now from Novant Clinical social worker Jaron Doby. Thank you for joining us this morning. Dealing with mental health. This is such a huge topic, but how timely that we have you in here this morning, because I want to talk about the importance. It was like everything happened and resources are going to be available on campus. How has mental health become a different conversation when it comes, and a priority, I should say, when it comes to traumatic events like this?
Gotcha. It's very important, and the great thing about it is that mental health is always a priority, and especially in situations like this, it is more important than ever to make sure that both that have directly experienced these things, or directly and indirectly, right, are able to make sure that they are seeking and getting support. It is very much so vital for the improvement, of course, overall of their mental health.
You know, it's one thing to experience it, be directly involved or right there at the scene and watch it, like some of the kids that might be on that bus. It's another to just in the peripheral to be a witness to it. And I'm talking about first responders who had to, you know, you're seeing young kids there, as much as the work that they do is dealing with innocent victims, but just young lives like that. So first responders, as well as media folks. We were on this as soon as it happened yesterday, and you know, we might be media people, but we do have compassion, and we feel for our community and the things that happen to people that we may not know, but we know that it's tragedy. So that witnessing trauma, hidden scars or wounds, if you will,
Yes.
what is that effect?
I mean, it affects us in so many different ways, and you hit the nail right on the head. We cannot forget that our media, our EMTs, our police officers, our families and friends, we're all human, and trauma is one of those things that can be that can impact us again, both directly and indirectly. You know, it doesn't matter if it's something that directly happened to you. If you were there, if you're covering it, if you're talking about it, if you've learned about it, this is something that can affect us all, and we have to make sure that we're keeping a pulse on ourselves. And I do a lot of work with the media, and every time before I leave, I always ask them, hey, make sure that you take care of yourselves, right? Or are you taking care of yourself, rather, right? Because it's important work that you all are doing, learning about all of these things, right, and covering it all, taking it home with you. You have to make sure that you are taking care of yourselves also. So my heart goes out to everyone involved, right?
Yeah,
whether
right.
you are the media, whether you are someone that directly went onto the scene, or whether you just learned about this or watching this live. It's important to make sure that you are taking care of yourself.
You know, we're looking at some of the footage there. This is on the campus of FSU. And young adults here being involved. We did learn one anecdote that someone experienced the shooting at Parkland when they were in high school. And then now we're looking at another shooting, just to witness it and saying that I can't believe I have to see two of these in my lifetime. Right.
Yeah. That right there is, I mean, they say that, you know, lightning can't strike twice in the same place. And when things like this happen, it is so unfortunate. You know, for folks that have experienced multiple occasions or multiple incidents of trauma, it is imperative, and I want to stress how imperative it is to make sure that you are most certainly seeking professional help. Because, of course, how difficult it can be to be able to witness death or learn about that before it to happen twice in your lifetime in such a tragic, well-covered situation, right, where you have to constantly relive that, right, by seeing it, hearing about it. it is most important to make sure that you are seeking professionals' help, like myself.
Yeah. And I mean, and then younger folks, it's a different way to approach kids
Yes.
in middle school with this bus accident. What are resource officers or counselors on campus telling families this morning?
So, of course, they're just making sure that they're making themselves present to the families and the students that, hey, we are here as a support. That's one of the strongest things they can do at this time, to be able to let them know, hey, we are here to help, we are here to listen, we are here to be able to assist them. Because there are some folks, there are students there, right, that have large families, right, or multiple family members and friends, but there are some that may not have as many as others. So it's important to know that there is someone, a resource, someone at the school that's available to be able to assist them during such a difficult time.
The relationship between physical health and mental health, they are really separate. And so maybe these kids are going to recover from their injuries, whatever, to varying degrees, or students that might have gotten a peripheral wound or shards of glass when that happened. But the mental toll it takes, it seems it's longer term.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and I'm a firm believer of in my business that so goes the mind and so goes the body and vice versa, right? Our mental health issues can affect our physical health issues and vice versa also. So of course they will be able to recover, right, from those physical injuries that they were able to sustain. But you never forget something. Right? That's happened to you. You can move on from it, but you never forget. And that's what's important to be able to do by being able to utilize your supports, creating routine for yourself, but most importantly, making sure that you are getting professional help if you are unable to cope with it in a healthy manner on your own.
How do you approach resilience?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I know it's one step at a time.
Yes.
And it's a big question, but how does that work? What does that look like on day one?
It's more important than just one step at a time. You address resilience 1 second at a time, one moment at a time, because that is different for everyone. How one person recovers or moves on from a situation should not be how it is that you model, how it is that you move on, right? Because we are all unique and we are all very much so different. So in relation to resilience, we have to remember, be kind to yourself, but also be patient with yourself when it comes to recovery.
Yeah. We are coming up on the officer ambush a year since that happened in East Charlotte. 4 officers killed, a number of others injured, and one of them we spoke to. He's playing in an event tomorrow at Bojangles Coliseum. Salute to heroes, Michael Giglio. He was one of those who was wounded physically, and he told us that he's okay physically, totally recovered. But it is that long-term dealing with the head trauma, the mental health, if you will.
Yes.
Again, speaking to law enforcement, and that we approach things like, and they approach things like it is their job. As we look at them, they know they're doing their job, but on the other side of being involved in some traumatic event like that, again, what is the coping strategy here? And they're probably not thinking about how am I going to deal with my headspace after this, right?
Yes, and in relation to coping strategies, they vary. I tell folks coping strategies are not one size fits all. Everyone is different, and we all know ourselves. We are all the experts on our own lives. So it's important to be able to know the things that help you, right, that are healthy coping skills that are effective in you being able to move on. When I say healthy, I mean those that don't cause you or anyone else any hurt, harm, or danger, right? So no binge drinking, no driving fast, or, excessive spending, things of that nature. We have to make sure that we're mindful of the things that work for us. And as it relates to that officer, I'm sure he's feeling exactly the way that a lot of folks are that were, of course, family members, friends of those that were impacted by that. So I just want to speak to him directly and tell him that I definitely hope that he is getting professional help. I definitely hope that he is being kind to himself and taking it one moment at a time when it comes to recovery, because that road can look different, right, for him. But it's important that as his supports in his life, right, remain to be there for him.
And you said they are.
Yeah,
yes.
And to encourage him, right, and to let him know that they're there for him if he needs anything whatsoever. So if there's any help or assistance that we can able to provide for him, we're more than happy to do that too.
I mean, and that is the important part too, is a support system to keep you in check, to say you're off.
Yes.
by a little bit what's going on. If we don't have a support system
Right.
and you rely on yourself, who checks yourself?
Exactly. So that's always one of those difficult questions, right? It's like, I get asked that, JD, what do I do if I don't have anyone, right? It's important to be able to make sure that you also seek community in one way or another, right? There are various groups out there that exist, right? Or even various organizations that it is that folks can be able to join to make sure that they are not alone in their fight, right? But it does take being mindful, right? Being mindful of what it is that you are thinking, how you are feeling, what is it that you are doing or how you're behaving, right, in order to check yourself, right?
Yeah.
So being able to make sure that you are incorporating, right, your own organic coping skills and things like that that are working for you. And if these things are no longer working, please make sure that you seek professional help. Look, we all may seem alone, but you're never alone, right? We have to take that step in order to make sure that we're seeking help.
I think what is appreciated coming up on Mental Health Awareness Month, it is that word, awareness, to
Yes.
be self-aware, and that conversation and those buzzwords that we keep mental health out of the stigma department now. And this has become normal to get professional help when necessary. And it's not, an aside against you or me that we are checking in with,
Yes.
with our head. But generational views of health, mental health struggles, or just keeping it in check, if you will. There seems to be different approaches. One very, forthtelling. I got everything. I'm just going to spill it out and air it out.
Right.
And there are older people that are a little bit more refrained and restricted. How do you bridge the gap? And is there things that we can take from both sides or both directions and generations that maybe we need to learn how to cope a little bit better?
Right, right. So we have to understand, right, in bridging the gap, that we have to understand how things were, right, and how it is that they are now also. Mental health was not at the forefront of everyone's minds and experiences, let's just say 10 years ago. Right? It was very different. COVID changed everything for mental health. You started seeing mental health commercials, right, and things of that nature, advertisements. It was one of those things where we were forced to sit down, right, face ourselves, face the things that it is that have affected us, and said, hey, look, this is something that we need to address, both the older and the younger generation. So when it comes to awareness and bridging the gap, it's just that, right? Bringing awareness, education, having the conversations, right? Being able to engage in those things that does help to normalize this more, right? Because the old sayings and the old belief and stereotypes of mental health, or you're crazy, or I don't want to see a shrink, right, to be able to, in order to be able to get some help. These things are being knocked down every day, right? And folks are definitely taking an opportunity to come out and make sure that they are seeking help. And this is something that remains to be important, that we continue, right, to make sure that we are putting the word out, communicating, sharing resources with each other, educating each other on the importance of making sure that we're taking care of ourselves.
Yeah. How about because I talked to another singer, Rachel Platten. She's a musician, a star. She's got a famous song out.
Right.
She also speaks to saying everything. She comes from a family that just speaks her truth at all times. And that's why she admits that she went through postpartum depression after having her children. And she's also had a very successful life.
Right.
It's like a juxtaposition between that success and a little bit of a depression despite your success.
Right.
That's kind of like a conflict within yourself. Are we fronting? What is that?
Right. So it's not even that. I would say that your level of socioeconomic status or celebrity, right, or how much money that it is that you have, or success, right, however it is that you define that, does not exempt you from being able to experience mental health related issues, right? We all are experiencing some kind of evolution within ourselves, but of course we all have problems, right, in one respect or another. Singers have families, right? Singers have children and friends and things that it is that they experience, both good and bad. So we have to make sure that we remember that everyone is human at the end of the day.
All right. Jared, this has been a really great, enlightening, eye-opening conversation. I feel like we went through therapy this morning, right? It's been good, Carlene, huh?
It's been, after the heavy day we had yesterday, this is nice. It's it's a nice check-in.
Great.
And I mean, yeah, because I will speak to both of us sort of on the front line of watching. We had breaking news all day yesterday, and Carlene then was here from, we covered a fire, then we were watching the FSU, and then the bus
the bus
crash.
yeah.
And so how did you end your day?
I went home and I played video games because that's
your release.
That's my brain shut off. Kind of disconnect from, I don't say reality, but disconnect from the world.
Yeah,
and
you
then
need
this
that.
Is, this is my time.
Yes.
to play Mario and get back with one. That's,
Right.
That's my, I guess, coping.
Yeah,
I love that.
absolutely.
I
Good
love
for you.
that. Yeah, absolutely.
What do
love
the
that.
professionals do?
The same thing. Absolutely. And my wife and daughter can attest to that. That it's just about being able to unwind in a
Yeah.
place that works for you. So guess what? Yep, I do the exact same thing,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
And take an opportunity to do other things as well, like be active and working out,
Yes.
right? And being mindful of what you eat, getting good sleep, right? Spending positive time with friends and family, right? Or even if you need to spend some of that good self-care time alone, right?
Right.
Going to your favorite store, maybe doing some window shopping, maybe doing a little bit of real shopping, but that's another issue.
Oh,
but
yeah, shopping therapy.
taking an opportunity to travel as well. Weather's getting warmer, right? So a
Right.
lot of folks are planning trips and things of that nature too. But look, everyone be kind when you see your spouse or your friend playing that game that day. You never know what it is that they experienced, and it may be their opportunity to be able to wind down. So it's important that you said that.
I like it. I like
Yeah,
it. Very
love
good. I just sat in my cone of silence for a hot minute, maybe a hot 5, 10,
Yeah.
30 minutes, but that's how I deal with it a little bit.
Great.
Jaron, thank you so much. Anything else that we should know and walk away with all of these nuggets of mental health?
Gosh, I just want to remind everyone that we're all in it together. Like we truly are in it together.
Right. I think,
you know?
it's that isolation and feeling alone that's really hurtful in some ways.
Because our minds and situations can trick us into believing that we're just in it by ourselves and we're just going through life having very, very unique problems and no one can relate. And that's not always true. There's always someone that can relate and there's always someone that can help. So please make sure that you do just that, right? Get the help, right? Take care of yourselves and just remember that you're not alone.
Jaron Dobie from Novant, clinical social worker. Thank you so much as we take on mental health. And it is so important to take care of that. So
Absolutely.
appreciate you coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. That was good. We're going to clip that, put it on WCNC Plus for you to refer to. Some good tips and advice there as we approach the month of May. And really, although we call May Mental Health Awareness Month, every day should be mental health awareness. Check in with yourself, be good to yourself, and let loose. Play some Mario or...
That's right.
All right. We are going to go from that. People are going to go running this weekend in Boston because it is the Boston Marathon weekend. Right now, they are holding a live press conference talking about some of the safety precautions they're going to do. Let's take that live and listen in here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Today from the Emergency Operations Center, ready to troubleshoot any issues that may arise. On the transit police side, I have ordered an all-department call-out for this event to include our special operations teams and an increase in our explosive detection unit teams with the explosive detection canines deployed strategically around our system, just to give us another layer of protection. With that said, we always ask, if you see something, please say something. Transit police can be contacted at 617-222-1212, or you can speak to any public safety official or transportation official you see at the event to report anything suspicious. If you have a smartphone, please take a moment to download the free CSA app that the MBTA provides for its riders. This app will allow you to send messages, videos, and or photographs directly to transit police operations. It's a great tool, it's free, and it's just another tool that we use to help keep our system safe. Regarding service on Marathon Monday, the subway, the ride, and the commuter rail will all operate on a weekday schedule with a special marathon schedule on the Worcester line. Buses will operate on a modified Saturday schedule to accommodate the marathon. For public safety reasons, Copley Station will be closed and will remain closed for the entire day on Marathon Monday. Also, in the interest of public safety, the MBTA may adjust or temporarily close additional stations near the finish line. If more information is needed, please access our website at mbta.com/marathon. The next speaker will be Boston EMS Chief James Hooley.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Boston EMS welcomes all to Boston's this Patriots Day weekend, and we are proud to support the BAA and the annual Boston Marathon race and many associated events going on all this weekend. Marathon Monday is an exciting day in our city, and we are prepared to do our part to protect the safety, well-being of every runner, participant, volunteer, and spectator. Boston EMS will have enhanced coverage and staffing, including additional personnel deployed all along the race course, at medical stations, at dispatch operations, and command centers, and we will augment ambulance coverage to ensure that there will be no disruption to services in all of our neighborhoods. It is, after all, Patriots Day across the whole city. Our EMTs and paramedics will be strategically positioned at the medical stations, at the finish line, and all along the race course in Boston. Some will be on bicycles, some on motorized carts, which gives us the ability to navigate crowds and reach anyone in need of medical assistance. We have a coordinated plan with our partners and local hospitals and have a plan in place to handle any situation efficiently without overwhelming hospitals. There is an army of medical volunteers, the medical committee that's going to be staffing some of the larger tents you see here in Boston and all the way along the course. They will treat so many minor things, be able to rehydrate some runners, and that'll really save a lot of people from having to be transported to hospitals because everybody knows how busy the emergency rooms are. Okay. The most commonly treated conditions during marathons include dehydration, heat exhaustion, muscle cramps, and minor injuries like blisters and sprains, but we're also prepared to respond to more serious medical incidents or events. So if you're running, hydrate well before, during, and after the race. Listen to your body. If you don't really feel well, or you think some of your end isn't looking right to you, get some help. If you're coming down to watch the marathon, wear comfortable shoes, stay hydrated. Emergencies can happen to anyone, not just the runners. Protect yourself and children from sunburn. The sun is already pretty strong this time of year, so even if we get a cooler day this time of year, it doesn't matter. You don't want to find out the hard way. Weather can be a factor in this event. We are adjusting the weather. We are watching the forecast closely, and we'll adjust our medical readiness based on temperature, humidity, or precipitation as needed. If you need us, you can always call 911, but there'll be all of our folks will be in bright, the yellow, green, Gorello vests or jackets. All the public safety personnel, the volunteers, everyone's radio equipped. They can immediately direct and get help if anybody needs any assistance. And we'll be there every step of the way, and we'll meet the moment as well, Jack. It's my pleasure right now to introduce Chief Adrian Jordan, who heads our Boston Office of Emergency Management.
Good morning, and thank you for being here. Boston Marathon is one of our city's proudest traditions, a symbol of resilience, community, and global unity. Each year, it brings together tens of thousands of athletes, spectators, and volunteers from around the world, and with that, a tremendous responsibility to keep everyone safe. As the Chief of Emergency Preparedness for the City of Boston, I want the public to know this. The safety of every runner, every family member, every volunteer, every visitor is our top priority. Planning for this event begins months in advance and involves close collaboration with our local, state, and federal partners. We're not just coordinating for race day, we're preparing for every possible scenario. Our Emergency Operations Center here in the city will be fully activated with representatives from all public safety agencies, including Boston Police, Boston Fire, EMS, Public Safety, Transit, Public Works, as well as our regional and federal partners. This unified command structure ensures that communication is seamless and that we can respond in real time to any incident, large or small. This year, we've also integrated some new technologies to enhance situational awareness and public communication. Our emergency is continually evolving. Our strategies based on lessons learned, both here in Boston and from major events around the country. But as always, like has been said many times here today, public safety is a shared responsibility. We ask everyone to remain aware of your surroundings, speak up if you see something that doesn't seem right, and our call to, as is repeated many times, if you see something, say something, still remains as vital as ever. Residents and visitors can also go to boston.gov/emergencies, and sign up for Alert Boston to get emergency notifications. Finally, I'd like to thank the thousands of people behind the scenes, from the planners, the responders, to our volunteers who make this event not only possible but secure. Boston is strong because its people are strong, and the marathon is proof of that strength. Thank you, stay safe, and we'll see you at the finish line.
Hello, everyone. I'm Robert Burgess. I am the Public Information Officer for MEMA, and we have time for a short Q&A. If any media members have questions, please keep them on topic to the Boston Marathon. If you need anything beyond that, you can see me after the event, and I'm happy to help with any questions that you have. Please also direct your question to the person who you would like to answer. Any questions?
Thank you. We welcome everybody to spectate on the Boston Marathon, but we ask that everybody be on the sideline. Cheer, but from the sideline.
I would just echo, cheer your hardest, clap for every single runner, shout out people's names. You know, it makes a big difference, I'm told, when you get that extra little bit of energy from people on the sidelines. Also, if you are able, just kind of look around, be aware, as we've said, be vigilant, and take care of everyone who's in that area.
Yes, down here.
Thank you, Jimmy. I have not heard that. Our organization has not heard that people are not coming to Boston for, people are coming to Boston.
Did the number of registrants go down or
No, we have more, we have a lot of demand this year, as we do every year.
There's a report from the National Post of Canada, some runners who had registered were being stay away. So is there anything you want to do about?
Regardless of what's happening at other levels, and particularly now at the federal level, in Boston, we welcome everyone. We seek to be a home for everyone, and our relationship, both from a tourism perspective, but also just in terms of a friendship and connection that has lasted beyond boundaries and beyond generations, particularly with Canada, has been very meaningful for the city of Boston. There's a history there that goes back well over a century in terms of mutual aid and connection. So while we haven't gotten direct outreach, and of course every year the demand for the marathon is higher than ever, I would just say to all of our friends out there in the world that Boston continues to plant our feet firmly to be a welcoming city for all, and we hope that everyone will continue to enjoy our city and come here, have a great time, and participate in this very, very important global tradition that should transcend politics and should transcend the issues of the day.
I think we have time for just a couple more questions. Yes?
Well, you're definitely going to have to hear from the Colonel as well for that. Sorry, Colonel. But, this with such a large venue for this, no one agency can cover the entire 26.2 miles. The FBI, I can speak for us, we are in a support role to Massachusetts State Police, to Boston PD, to the other localities along the route. I feel very confident that we have learned from the past. I don't want to get into specifics about certain things that we're doing in law enforcement to, thwart any kind of threats, but I can assure you that we're taking every step possible to be able to ensure that we have a safe venue for the marathon. Colonel, if you have anything to add.
Thank you. Certainly, we work with our partners to evaluate threats, and we deploy our posture based on the threat environments that are certainly out there. You will see a large number of uniformed troopers. We have a very large number. I won't get into the specific numbers, but you will see troopers and law enforcement officers stationed pretty much everywhere along that route. You'll also see a myriad of physical barriers that have been put up throughout the route to prevent any type of vehicle attack. You will see those types of things. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have time for just one more question. Seeing none, thanks everybody for being here this morning.
Right now, I want to bring you here into the Live Impact studio. I'm Jane Monreal. 9:50 is the time, and we have some breaking news, new detail that we've learned on the bus crash that happened yesterday, southbound side of 77 at mile marker 55. And according to the Chester County Coroner's Office, they confirmed the victim who died is a 13-year-old 8th grader. According to the coroner, the family does not want the name released, but we do know now that it was a student who lost their life in this wreck. That was just horrible of a scene, southbound side of 77 at mile marker 55. This is what it looked like yesterday on the southbound side from our aerial crew, our drone shot there from our photojournalist Carrie, and you could see that that bus is on its side. What happened was 3 buses, bus loads of students from Pine Ridge Middle were on a field trip in the Charlotte area, returning back to West Columbia yesterday afternoon around 2 o'clock is when the tire of one of the buses blew out, and that led to the bus overturning and on its side, as you can see there. So all lanes were blocked for hours, southbound side of 77 at mile marker 55, as kids were returning back to West Columbia. This morning, we do know that the school is open, the school is open for families and students who need it. They have resource officers and counselors for those who need to talk to somebody this morning. Sad situation as spring break was starting today, later on today, and through next week, taking you through the Easter weekend, and then students returning back to campus on the 28th. But right now at 9:52, we again can confirm that the Chester coroner's office saying the victim was a 13-year-old 8th grader who lost their life in this crash, South 77 through Chester County at mile marker 55. We continue to follow the developing details on this wreck and what happened and what led that tire to blow out on the bus. Obviously a safety issue to buses and the like. They've been questioned in the past through both South and North Carolina, but now coming to light here when a fatal wreck leading to more questions now, and the following investigation and details as we learn more about that and look into what happened, then we will bring all of those updates to you. It's a good thing we had our own mental health person come on here on the stream on Live Impact News, Jaron Dobie from Novant, a licensed clinical social worker, speaking to just the point where, you know, these kids are going to have to process what they saw, what they are hearing about their friend, and the families that know the victims, and there were several hurt in here as well. So this is going to be traumatic for months, if not years to come. And medevac choppers were also on scene yesterday, so really just a tragic, terrible situation. As we continue to follow that, it is Good Friday, and a lot of schools and offices, folks in general, just taking the day off today. Traffic this morning, I know coming into the station was very light, but it looks like right now Boston Marathon happening this weekend and getting ready for spring break as well. On Washington, we have, of course, ongoing negotiations between the Trump administration as well as more allies coming to meet with the president in search of a deal. These weeks before more tariffs will begin on trading partners. There was a bit of a pause on that. So this 90 days, now less than 90 days, and they're going to be here before you know it. The president once again threatening to fire the Federal Reserve Chair, who warned that these tariffs could hurt the economy. Alice Barr is in Washington with the latest.
This morning, President Trump's economic and immigration policy both making waves, with the first images of Kilmar Abrego Garcia since his deportation to a notorious prison in El Salvador through what the Trump administration called an administrative error. Meeting here with Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen, who traveled to press for his release.
Kilmar has his due process rights.
The White House interpreting a Supreme Court order to facilitate Abrego Garcia's return to mean that El Salvador would have to initiate the release. That country's president writing, quote, "Now that he's been confirmed healthy, he gets the honor of staying in El Salvador's custody." The Trump administration says Abrego Garcia is part of the violent MS-13 gang, citing Maryland police reports based on an informant who his attorneys and family refute. He has no criminal convictions. President Trump appearing to step back from the issue.
Well, I'm not involved in it. I'm going to respond by saying you'll have to speak to the lawyers.
As he stepped up his sharp criticism of Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, who he's repeatedly urged to lower interest rates.
I don't think he's doing the job. If I want him out, he'll be out of there real fast, believe me.
That following these comments on Wednesday.
Tariffs are highly likely to generate at least a temporary rise in inflation.
The Federal Reserve is designed to act independently to avoid political pressure, and Chairman Powell, who President Trump once appointed, has said he doesn't have the authority to fire him. The clock now ticking to a new round of tariffs as the president works toward trade deals with world leaders. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
All right, the latest from Washington there on tariffs and more folks coming to the negotiating table. We continue to monitor things there. The New York Stock Exchange not up today as it is part of the holiday weekend. And things overall very light. So Yesterday, before we went into breaking news mode with that major warehouse fire in Houston, we were listening to the mayor of Chimney Rock talking about the efforts in the recovery from Helene, and we had to cut that off. So we're going to start over and play this interview for you now, what they're doing there in Western North Carolina, Chimney Rock at least, with the mayor on Live Impact News on WCNC+.
Perfect. How long have you been the mayor here?
I've been mayor kind of 2 go-rounds, but a total of about 25 years.
And how long have you been in Chimney Rock?
We have lived here since 1990, so 35 years now.
What does Chimney Rock Village mean to you, Chimney Rock in general?
Well, it's my home. It's the home of my kids and my grandkids. It's the place where I started my married life. It's the place where I started my business 33 years ago. So there are a lot of milestones here for me. I moved here to work at Chimney Rock Park when it was privately owned at the time, and moved here for the job, and it was a great job. But then after a couple of years when I left the park, I realized that not only was the job in the park great, but the whole village was great. And I just didn't want to leave. And you hear that over and over from people that live here and people that visit here. It's got a magical draw to it that once you get here, you just want to come back or you want to stay.
You know, when the storm hit, did you think it was going to be this bad? Like, what were you thinking before it hit?
Well, I was actually on vacation. I was at Tybee Island, Georgia when the storm hit, and none of us thought it was going to be this bad. I mean, none of us could have imagined. And a lot of people, in fact, earlier in the week, we thought, you know, we might get some flooding, we might get some high water, but we've been through floods before. We had a 100-year flood in 1996, what we thought was a 100-year flood, not realizing that on that September morning that we were going to be hit with a 1,000-year flood, just something that honestly none of us could have imagined.
You know, talk to me about the devastation here and looking at it and watching it and seeing it when you first.
Well, it's when I saw pictures. I was out of town and I started, of course, communicating with the fire department and the other officials here in town. And I saw the pictures, I saw the videos, but then coming into town and seeing it firsthand, it was so dramatic and so unbelievable that it was hard to imagine that it had actually happened. Even though I'm seeing it firsthand, I'm thinking still that this cannot be real. You know, surely there's something that I'm missing that's going to make this not be as bad as it is. But of course, when you dig into it, you realize, you know, we've been dealt a tremendous blow, a devastating blow.
And kind of break down, like, I don't know if you have, what are the estimates of, like, houses and, you know, talk to me about some of the damage that.
Well, the damage was, it was truly catastrophic for Chimney Rock Village, and I compare it sometimes. It's an odd situation though, because you can literally go 2 or 3 miles away, and everybody's totally recovered from the storm, and you can't even tell a storm happened. But then you come down here and you see this devastation that we're still trying to rebuild from and overcome. But we had 4 vehicle bridges and 1 pedestrian bridge in town that were all washed away. We had 30% of our business community literally wash away. We had our biggest employer, biggest draw, Chimney Rock Park, be completely closed. We have the whole town completely closed, and we have been since the storm for 6 months now. So we've had 100% unemployment, over 30 homes washed away, just numerous vehicles, campers from the campgrounds, camping cabins. It's just, you know, when you start going through the numbers, it's mind-boggling. And part of the problem too is, like I said, we've been shut down and out of business since the storm, and we are still out of business, and that's something we hope to rectify very soon. But you know, we've got to get going again so we can start returning to normal.
You know, when we're talking about, like, the work that's being done, like, you know, I see everywhere volunteers working and coming and so forth. Talk to me about how how that has helped where and to, you know, even put you where you are today. And kind of talk to me about the progress.
Well, the progress, it's an interesting story because it's a tale of two projects, if you will, in the sense that when we look around, we still see just tremendous damage and realize it's going to take a long time to build it back. But at the same time, we've made tremendous progress. And that is very encouraging. It's very heartwarming. It keeps us all going to see the number of volunteers and the number of people that have reached out to help us. We've had, since the storm, well over 2,000 volunteers come through the Spokes of Hope organization that is organizing the volunteers. We've had just tons of supplies donated. You know, all of the building material that's going into rebuilding these stores has been donated up to this point, and it's just been a tremendous recovery story that is ongoing. And I have to just shout out to Spokes of Hope. They have done such a tremendous job, and we are so blessed because if they hadn't shown up and started to rebuild us and continued to rebuild us, we would be in a totally different boat now. Chimney Rock's future would be very uncertain. And as it is, with their help and the help of so many other volunteers, our future, while it's still a work in progress, it's much, much brighter than it could have been.
Now, your business is down this street as well, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So now, is it even open? Can you even get in there?
No businesses are open at this point because...
I meant open the door. Like, is it...
We're going to put that on pause once again as we are starting some breaking news here now. It looks like there is a homicide investigation in the Steel Creek Division. You're looking at a map right now where CMPD is looking into a homicide in the 5100 block of Cherry Crest Lane. This is, again, in the Steel Creek Division, and just happening in the last 10 minutes, at least reported in the last 10 minutes. We do have our Jessie Pierre heading to the scene. As soon as she sets up and gathers more information, we will hopefully take her live here on Impact News. Otherwise, look for her during the midday and on WCNC Charlotte at 4. But an investigation regarding homicide now underway in the 5100 block of Cherry Crest Lane. Also want to get you caught up, if you haven't heard, an update on the accident southbound side of 77, a fatal crash involving a school bus that happened yesterday in Chester County at mile marker 55. The Chester County Sheriff's Coroner's Office, confirming a 13-year-old 8th grader was the one killed in this crash. You can see the bus that flipped over. 3 buses in total heading back from the Charlotte area on a field trip back to West Columbia when the tire blew out on that bus there, causing it to overturn and winding up on its side. Several other people hurt, but we do know that 2 adults and around 35 kids were on board that bus that was directly impacted, all going to Pine Ridge Middle School in West Columbia. Today's no school as spring break has started, but we do know that counselors and other resources and support staff, thank you, Carlene, are there on school grounds to help out and with anyone who needs it for family, friends, students. That is ongoing until noon today. All right. As we bring you back out here now on Live Impact News, it is 10:05 on this Good Friday. I'm Jane Monreal, and you are watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, where as breaking pictures, videos unfold in real time, we bring it to you. As soon as we know about it and see it on our news feeds, we bring those pictures. So sometimes they're rough and unedited, and I should say raw, not rough, but things like a major house fire or a warehouse fire that we covered yesterday morning in Houston, and then in the afternoon picking things up with an active shooter situation on the campus of FSU, where we know 2 people were killed there and several others hurt as well and still recovering in the hospital. This was the scene yesterday from the air as they cordoned off the student union there at Florida State University. It happened around noon when the call went out, and you can see law enforcement from not only FSU, but the Sheriff's Office, the FBI, as well as the Leon County Police Department and Sheriff's Office responding to this mass shooting that left 2 dead. The suspect, we know, is in custody. If you are just joining us this morning, we ran the full press conference that we originally brought to you on air as it happened live on WCNC Charlotte News at 4. This is the press conference that will fill in some of the blanks and some of those details, quite disturbing now in its entirety. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
My name is Jason Trumbauer, and I'm the Chief of Police at Florida State University. All Florida State University classes and business operations on the main campus in Tallahassee are canceled through Friday, April 18th. Essential employees should check with their supervisors for further reporting instructions. All FSU athletic events in Tallahassee are canceled through Sunday. At approximately 11:50 a.m. Thursday, April 17th, a gunman opened fire on the main campus of Florida State University in Tallahassee, shooting multiple individuals in the vicinity of the Student Union building. FSU police responded immediately, engaged, neutralized, and apprehended the shooter. 2 victims of deceased are deceased, and 5 individuals have been transported to a local hospital with gunshot wounds. The shooter has also been transported to a local hospital. The 2 deceased are not students. The shooter is believed to be a current FSU student. I do not have additional information on the shooter's identity at this time. Students who need assistance can go to the Donald L. Tucker Center, where the university is providing counseling, health care, and other support services. Family members are also able to go to the Tucker Center for assistance. Students, faculty, and staff are asked to call their loved ones as soon as possible to update them on their status. The student union and the surrounding area is still considered an active crime scene. Individuals should avoid the area. Students should not return to the student union to retrieve personal property at this time. Students may return to their residence halls, but they should otherwise stay indoors on main campus to allow first responders and university staff to do their jobs and respond to those needing assistance. Students may depart campus for the weekend. All classes have been canceled through Friday. Before I turn this over to Chief Revel, I want to thank all the brave men and women of the FSU PD for responding immediately to the scene. I also want to thank the responding agencies who have provided assistance to FSU today big time, including the Tallahassee Police Department, the Leon County Sheriff's Office, the Florida Highway Patrol, Leon County Emergency Medical Services, FDLE, and all other responding agencies today. We really appreciate your support. That's all the information I have at this time. We'll have additional update for you later today. Chief Revel.
Good afternoon. I am Chief Revel with the Tallahassee Police Department. As the shooting occurred today, our officers, as well as every single other officer in this city and county, responded immediately to this scene. Once on scene and once we began working through what was occurring and what we were working, in consultation with FSU, Tallahassee Police Department was asked to take lead on this. So we will be the lead for this investigation in both the officer involved shooting portion of this as well as the homicide portion of this. I will come up after the last speaker and entertain just a few questions, but needless to say, we have multiple crime scenes. This is a very large area we're covering. We have thousands, hundreds of thousands, or hundreds or thousands of witnesses. And again, this is an active, ongoing investigation. So the information that we will be allowed to release right now may be fairly limited. I'll answer what I can at that time. But I will assure you that as soon as we can, any information that becomes available, we will make that available to you. One of the things in the process, and again, understand that this is an ongoing active investigation. So things are happening as we are standing here and as we are speaking. We have identified the shooter, obviously. He's at the hospital. So with more on that, I'm going to allow the sheriff to come up and speak on that portion of it.
Thank you, Chief.
As Chief Rebel indicated, I'm Walt McNeil, Leon County Sheriff. First and foremost, let me express our gratitude to the responding law enforcement agencies in this community. Our citizens should feel some degree of comfort knowing that your law enforcement agencies are going to respond and do exactly what we did in this case, that is, bring the offender to justice and to make sure that we do what we can to make sure we lock him or her up. Let me say to you, this is obviously a heinous crime. Our deepest condolences go out to the FSU family, the families of the students who are here, and we understand that you all have been devastated because of this person's actions. The question as it relates to who is the shooter is 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner, and he's the son of a Leon County Sheriff deputy. Our Deputy Eichner, has been with the Leon County Sheriff's Office for over 18 years. She has a tremendous job that she's done. Her service to this community has been exceptional. Unfortunately, her son had access to one of her weapons, and that was one of the weapons that was found at the scene. And we are continuing that investigation into how that weapon was used and what other weapons perhaps he may have had access to. The alleged shooter was also a long-standing member of the Leon County Sheriff's Office Citizen Advisory or Youth Advisory Council. So he has been steeped in the Leon County Sheriff's Office family, engaged in a number of training programs that we have. So it's not a surprise to us that he had access to weapons. This event is tragic in more ways than you people in the audience could ever fathom from a law enforcement perspective. But I will tell you this, we will make sure that we do everything we can to prosecute and make sure that we send a message to folks that this will never be tolerated here in Leon County, and I dare say across this state and across this nation. Thank you. Let me bring up the FBI Assistant Special Agent in charge, Hubert Reynolds.
Good afternoon. My name is Hubert Reynolds, and I'm the Acting Special Agent in charge of the Jacksonville Field Office. I want to echo those standing with me what a horrific crime this is, and we stand with you fully. We have an office here in Tallahassee, and we are fully engaged with providing any resources that we can bring to bear to help with this investigation moving forward. We've established a digital tips media line where you can upload photos, videos prior to and during the incident. If you were there from social media, please upload all of that. I will give you now the website address. You can upload any tips to www.fbi.gov/FSU shooting. Again, that's www.fbi.gov/FSU shooting. I want to assure you that we are going to bring every available resource to be able to help the community and the local people here. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Richard McCullough, Rick McCullough, the president of Florida State University. This is a tragic day for Florida State University. We're absolutely heartbroken by the violence that occurred on our campus earlier today. 2 have died. 5 other innocents are being treated for their injuries. We're working to support the victims, their families, and everyone affected by this traumatic event. I just returned from the hospital where the First Lady and I met some of our students who were the victims. Our hearts go out to our students and the victims of this terrible tragedy. I have to say that our law enforcement, our FSU police officers, are absolute heroes in this regard. The call went out, someone called it in, and immediately they responded to the scene and immediately neutralized the suspect and prevented this from being a bigger tragedy. I want to thank them so much for what they do to try to keep our students safe. I want to thank all the law enforcement partners, FSU Police, Tallahassee Police, Leon County Sheriff's Department, Florida Highway Patrol, and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and all other responding agencies for their rapid and courageous response. I want to thank everybody that came out to visit with the students and to help us, and to be here today for this press conference. And I appreciate so much the support that you're all providing to our university and to our students. We're fully cooperating with the investigation, and we defer to law enforcement as they continue their work. I'd also like to thank all the healthcare providers at Tallahassee Memorial Hospital. They're treating and providing outstanding care to our victims. Right now, our top priority is safety and well-being for all the people and our campus. As it was said, classes are canceled on the main campus today and tomorrow, and all FSU athletics events on Tallahassee are canceled through Sunday. We also want to tell you that counseling and psychological services are available to students, faculty, and staff, and anyone that needs that should call 850-644-2003. We're also providing support for faculty and staff through our Employee Assistance Program, and so if you need any help, please reach out. We'll continue to communicate with the campus community as we know more. This is a deeply emotional time, but we're all here to support each other. We're going to do everything we can to support our community. We're a strong and united community, and we're family. And so we'll take care of all of you, and we'll get through this together. Thank you.
And obviously a very emotional situation there from local law enforcement, as well as the president of FSU speaking on yesterday's active shooter situation there on campus, right there in the middle of campus at the Student Union. Again, 2 confirmed dead. The suspect in custody, that suspect, the son of a sheriff's deputy for Leon County who had access to his mother's weapon. We had a lot of breaking news yesterday. There was an interview that was conducted by our Nick Sturdivant that we had to put on hold because of the situation at FSU. This is the governor in South Carolina, the highway safety program that is the Speed a Little, Lose a Lot. Actually, check that. That's North Carolina State Highway Patrol, not South Carolina. But you know what? It is something that we can, that messaging can be used for both, right? Speed a little, lose a lot. So anyway, our Nick Sturdivant did speak to one of the deputies, or troopers, I should say, for Highway Patrol, for NC Highway Patrol, to keep you safe. Let's check in on that interview now and play that for you here on Live Impact News on WCNC+.
I guess my first question for you, I read the title. Let me go back for a second. I'm a North Carolinian. I know how these highways here are, how folks are on the highways here. And so we had this new campaign, Speed a Little, Lose a Lot. For you, when you hear that name, when you hear the title of that campaign, what does that mean for you?
Well, Speed a Little, Lose a Lot is not a new initiative. It's not a new campaign. This has been around for quite some time. And this is an initiative from the North Carolina Governor's Highway Safety Program. So they're the ones that headline this campaign, and they are a component of the Department of Transportation. They specialize in traffic safety awareness and education. And this is just typically an annual campaign in which we just put some focus on speed enforcement, which is important these days.
You guys see out there on the road, especially when it starts to heat up? We're in spring break right now for a lot of families. What do you guys see out there as things start to heat up?
There's certainly I think, a growing sentiment and understanding among residents, especially in the Charlotte, Mecklenburg area, surrounding areas. Speeding is a problem. It really is. And we get a lot of emails sent to our office, both in Charlotte as well as our headquarters in Raleigh, of people asking us to please tackle these speed violations. We enforce the speed limit every day, not just during this campaign. This is something we do every day. But every now and then we need to shock the system. We need to let people know that we're out here, we're watching, we're vigilant, we're alert. And of course, we're asking the general public to do their part, to be safer drivers, to be aware, to be defensive, but to simply obey the speed limit. That can really solve a lot of problems.
Speaking of the public, what should folks keep in mind? Even if, look, I moved here about a year ago. I see a lot of speeders on the road, but just like, the emails that you get from residents, but there are families out there just trying to enjoy their vacation or trying to get from work to home and vice versa. But what should folks keep in mind before they get on the road?
North Carolina is a beautiful state. And North Carolina has an excellent roadway system. We have excellent infrastructure, and we encourage people to drive on our roadways. We encourage people to get out and explore and utilize these roadways. But it's important to do so safely. And for those that choose to bend the rules or want to drive at excessive speeds or, maybe get out and not really take things seriously, it's more of a method to show off their cars or do things they're not supposed to do. Racing, just, these reckless behaviors that can't be tolerated. And that's putting other people at risk. And that's causing harm to others. So that's what we're focusing on. We're not discouraging people from driving. We're discouraging those who are bending the rules and breaking the law from continuing that behavior.
And yeah, we cover it from time to time, those accidents, those tragic accidents because of folks speeding. For you, dealing with those incidents, I'm sure that's got to be heavy to deal with. I mean, which is the reason why you guys have this campaign.
Yes, definitely. And with the press release that Governor's Highway Safety Program had sent out, there's some brief statistics, and that's what I was looking at here earlier when we first started. Speeding in 2024 was categorized as the fourth leading factor in crash fatalities in North Carolina. That's just simply unacceptable. It's unacceptable. There were 373 people that died due to speed-related crashes. Our mission is to save lives. Our mission is to enforce the traffic laws of North Carolina, but also to put out awareness, to put out education, and to simply ask for everyone's help as a collective to help bring this issue down to where there are zero fatalities, there are zero incidents on our roadway, and we can all drive safely. And that's what this campaign is about.
You just mentioned the goal is zero, right? And this is not a new campaign, but over the years, how has it changed? Are folks more receptive to it over the years? Are you seeing a difference?
Ever since the pandemic hit, 2020 and COVID hit and everything shut down, the roadways were virtually empty. Once we started to build back up from that, we started to see a pattern of people noticing people simply driving faster. There was this aura of excitement of being back to normal, but that has, kind of continued on. We're into 2025. And again, we have to find that sense of normalcy. We have to be able to learn to share the road again. These metro areas of North Carolina, whether it be Charlotte and surrounding counties, whether it be Raleigh, populations are growing. Traffic density is heavier. People must share the road. And it's not like it used to be 4 or 5 years ago. We must share the road, and it's a collective effort, and we're asking everyone to participate in this. It's not just about us looking for the violators and giving them that citation. It's about us as a collective saying we're going to promote harmony for our driving, motoring public.
One thing I thought was interesting, you said folks email you guys, and I'm sure you get a lot of emails with complaints. Outside of the obvious of driving safe on the road, how can folks help in this campaign?
Well, if you're driving on the roadways anywhere in North Carolina, you can make direct contact with the Highway Patrol by dialing star HP from any cell phone. That puts you in direct contact with our communications center, star HP, which is star 47 from any cell phone. So if you see anything happening, hazardous driving, unsafe driving, debris in the roadway, anything that's creating a hazard, you can contact us and we can address it. It's very important to do this because people that are out here driving are an extra set of eyes for us. And if they can help put the word out and get our attention, we can address these things a lot quicker. And it's very important for us to be able to get there and see it while it's taking place rather than try to retroactively address some of these things. You know, driving is such a swift and quick thing. We can't always take action if we're not there to see it. So we certainly ask everyone to do their part and help us out. Be that extra set of eyes. Let us know when things are happening.
Anything else that I missed that you want to put out there?
Again, you know, speed a little, lose a lot. You know, it's a catchy slogan, but the fact of the matter is we've been enforcing the speed limit since its inception, way before you or I were ever born. You know, North Carolina's speed limit law has been in effect for decades. And again, our mission is to help save lives. Our mission is to help promote awareness. And again, spread the word to get others to help drive safely. It's not about issuing citations. Education, enforcement, awareness, it's all combined as a collective. But again, at some point, we have to clamp down and enforce North Carolina's speed limit law. So that is part of this. So we ask all drivers, please drive safely, be defensive drivers, obey the speed limit, wear your seatbelt, do not drive impaired. And again, if you choose to do these types of things, there are consequences in the legal system that you can face.
You guys have a busy job. You do important work. I just want to say thank you for the work you guys do out there on the roads each day. It is not easy work, so I just want to say thank you. And thank you for doing this interview.
No problem. I appreciate it. It's good to see you again. Of course, we've had some correspondence before, and I recognize your name as well. So I don't get to talk to our Charlotte folks much, but it's great to talk to you. And one last thing I pulled here, and if you may want to mention this in your story, I actually pulled some stats.
Yeah.
Just from the beginning of the year, and this is Mecklenburg County alone.
Mm-hmm.
This is only Mecklenburg County. This is only Highway Patrol. But I was pretty shocked to look at this. So our troopers have issued well over 1,400 speeding charges since January 1st up until yesterday. Over 1,400 in Mecklenburg County alone. Only Highway Patrol. 1,400. So again, you know, speed is concerning and speeding is out there and speeding is something we need to address. Among those violations, well over 60% of those charges were for people who were traveling 25 miles per hour or more over the posted speed limit. And I think that says a lot. So egregious speeding violations is what we're looking for. And if that is the type of behavior we're seeing on the roadway, it's certainly something we will address.
Folks will face the consequences, of course. Wow. Yeah, thank you for that. That's eye-popping right there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It is eye-popping numbers and statistics. A lot of speeding tickets being given in Mecklenburg County. Do be careful as you make your way out about on the roads, even though it is nice and clear because we are upon the Easter weekend and spring break starting for a lot of folks next week and then wrapping up for Mecklenburg County and CMS this week. It might be tempting to be a little more feisty on the road, but certainly not worth it. Speaking of Easter, I want to just bring you this beautiful shot now out of Rome, a live picture of St. Peter's Basilica. Of course, this being Good Friday, they will have a Good Friday Mass, Passion of the Lord service happening at 11 o'clock our time. But as you can see parishioners now filling up the seats, and many of the ordained and other altar staff filling up. It is such a beautiful, I don't even want to say property, institution. It's a gorgeous piece of work. And you can see there, I have. I was there over the summer, 2024. So yeah, not even a year ago. And it is a sight to behold. Right? Yeah, this really does no justice. I mean, I know you hear that all the time when you talk to somebody, but the ornate ceilings, the marble work, the sculptures, it's just one piece of artwork after another, let alone the spirit or the holy space or whatever you want to call it, you just can't help but be in awe of its majesty. So that's nice to take that in on this Good Friday. It is 10:31 on a Friday morning. I'm Jane Monreal. You are watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Right now, I want to take you out to Charleston, South Carolina, where attorneys representing a former Charleston County deputy who was charged in a deadly crash back in 2022. They are asking for more witnesses. They are in session right now. Let's go to that here live on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Because there's no other light source.
Correct.
Thank you, Councilman.
I'm just going to get caught up here a little bit as we wait for attorneys to approach the stand. But defense now for the former deputy, Charleston County Deputy Emily Pelletier, asking for more witnesses. And that is a witness is on the stand right now. But the former deputy is facing charges, 3 counts of reckless homicide in this fatal crash that happened on Mother's Day back in 2022, claiming the lives of 3 Colleton County women. Let's go back out here live to see if we can listen in.
Vera, any further questions?
Thank you, Councilman. It's just a moment. Yes, yes, sir. Your Honor, we're just hearing all of this for the first time. There's no report or anything for us to review ahead of time. Just a few more minutes. So, you indicated that there was no warning sign, or no sign warning of an approaching stop sign?
Yes, I believe so, that's correct.
There were other signs, though, all along the way on New Road that you drove?
Such as?
Like the railroad crossing sign, the speed limit sign, well, the second speed limit sign, you
Yes.
back car, to see the first one. Did you see the third one?
Third sign.
Maybe the speed limit sign you saw was the third one.
Possibly.
And you didn't go back far enough for the second or the first?
That's correct.
Okay. The trees on New Road, they're right under the road.
They're not on the road, they're, yeah, they're, I'd say probably 20, 25, maybe 30 feet off the road, but there's a slope and a ditch before you get to the tree line.
Okay. So you got road surface, New Road. Is there a shoulder, a paved shoulder?
Slight. Paved, well,
All right, it looks like that feed just went black out of Charleston, and a court where attorneys representing a former Charleston County deputy who is facing numerous charges in a deadly collision, homicide charges now, that killed 3 women in a deadly crash that happened back in 2022 on Mother's Day. It looks like that feed is back up. Let's go ahead and listen in here live on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Have you ever looked down a paper towel roll?
Probably.
Just like that.
I'm familiar with what you're saying. I'm sure I have at some point in time.
Okay. So you're familiar with the concept of looking down a paper towel restricts your field of view?
Yes.
Okay. Back when you were on New Road, did you go back? You said you went back about 1.5 miles, maybe? Let's talk about closer to the intersection.
All right, we're going to leave that feed now out of Charleston in the courtroom with an ongoing trial continuing. Take it back out here. It is 10:38 on a Friday morning. I want to get you updated with some developing news. We followed this yesterday. Breaking news, a tragic accident, fatal bus crash, school bus accident that happened yesterday afternoon south along 77 near mile marker 55 into Chester County. You can see that school bus on its side. We can tell you now, we've learned in the last hour that the person who lost their life was a 13-year-old 8th grader. The family deciding not to release their name. Chester County Coroner's Office confirming victim, a 13-year-old, in the fatality involved. That was confirmed. And several others still recovering from various injuries at local hospitals. Terrible crash there where 3 buses out of Charlotte, or leaving Charlotte on a field trip, students, middle school students, heading back to West Columbia, where they're part of the Lexington 2 school district. And counselors and other support staff on campus this morning until 12 to help families and students deal with the overwhelming loss of one of their own, a 13-year-old student killed in this school bus crash. Also want to get you caught up now. A map is what we are looking at of a homicide investigation taking place in the Steel Creek Division. Detectives right now at CMPD looking at a homicide in the 5100 block of Cherry Crest Lane, and we are waiting to gather more information, but we do have...
I just got a new picture into the newsroom.
Okay, all right, very good. Our Jessie Pierre is heading to the scene, so we will be getting to her as soon as we can. It looks like they've already cordoned off a residential area. This looks like either a townhome or an apartment complex. But in the Steel Creek area, now looking at a picture, a little bit of the scene where it is wooded, beautiful, it looks beautiful, area there in the neighborhood of Cherry Crest Lane. Our Jessie Pierre again headed to that scene, and we'll wait to get some more information for her so we can pass that along to you. But as it appears to be in a bit of a development and maybe off those main streets in Steel Creek, that might not have such an effect on traffic, only for those living in that area. So something to be aware of. But this morning,
I can tell you, Jessie Pierre says she got to the scene and she kind of got shoo-shooed off the property. So she's going to try and get more details this afternoon.
Yep. Okay. So that makes sense that this could be the residential neighborhood, a development, and they might. Many times we need permission to even step on out there. So perhaps waiting for some kind of press conference where the public information officer from CMPD will come out and meet reporters and give them the latest about that. Okay, so as we monitor that situation, It is now time to check in again here at 10:40 on this Good Friday, and a solemn day, the day after a shooting at FSU, as well as a local story here on 77 and the Lexington 2 School District, Pine Ridge Middle School students. Our hearts and our thoughts and prayers go out to the families and the staff and the students for that school as they were leaving the Charlotte area on a field trip the days before spring break was to start and heading back to West Columbia. Yesterday, we ran an interview that I did with a congressman. I'm switching gears here, but a congressman out of California. And, it was a Senate hearing for the Natural Resources Committee. They talked about the House Bill 276, also known as the Gulf of America Act, trying to rename the Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. Well, one of the congressmen, he spoke so candidly, so colorfully that he grabbed our attention, and I just went ahead and reached out to him directly. And it took a little bit, but we got him from his West Coast home there in California just to talk and respond on, why he made the comments he did. So we want to play this interview for you that aired yesterday on Live Impact News on WCNC+. All right, here on Live Impact News on WCNC+, a bill recently introduced in Congress has sparked both controversy and bemused reactions across Washington. It's House Resolution 276. You might know it as the Gulf of America Act, that's proposing to rename the Gulf of Mexico, and it is generating waves far beyond geographic circles. One of the most colorful responses came from California Congressman Jared Huffman during last week's Natural Resources Committee hearing, which we played and streamed on WCNC+. And he offered his own alternative naming suggestions. Congressman Huffman joining us now via Zoom from California, discussing this unusual legislative proposal. First of all, Congressman Huffman, thanks for being with us today from there on the West Coast. How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Walk us through a little bit your initial reaction when you first read H.R. 276, proposing the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America.
I've been surprised at so many things we've seen in this Congress where members of Congress, which is supposed to be an independent branch of government, just seem to think their job is to work for Donald Trump and to constantly kiss up and curry favor to this man in an almost cultish way. And so this is one of those, but it's not the only one. I mean, it's not a serious policy proposal to change the name of the Gulf of Mexico. It's just trying to make Donald Trump happy. But we've also seen bills to put Donald Trump's face on the $100 bill. We've seen actual legislation to put Donald Trump's head on Mount Rushmore. We've seen any number of other things. And I guess the point I was trying to make with my sarcastic suggestion that we just cut to the chase and rename the entire planet Trump is that there's serious work that this Congress should be doing right now. I mean, the economy is imploding. Costs are off the charts for Americans trying to afford housing and groceries and so many other things. This trade war is causing havoc. And we're spending our time trying to rename things to please Donald Trump. That's just crazy.
Yeah, so for our viewers who missed last week's hearing, want to play this bit when you did propose renaming the Gulf of Mexico to maybe even perhaps the Gulf of Ignorance and open to some friendly amendments. Let's play that now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If Republicans on this committee are serious about renaming the Gulf of Mexico, we should at least be honest about what is driving all this. My amendment proposes that rather than calling it the Gulf of America, we acknowledge what this bill truly represents, which is a departure from science, history, and common sense. We should call it the Gulf of Ignorance. Now, I acknowledge that there could be a robust debate about other words that one could put in place of ignorance, and I would accept friendly amendments from folks who might have a case to be made that it should be the Gulf of Incompetence, maybe the Gulf of Arrogance, Delusion, bootlicking sycophancy, strong case to be made that that would be appropriate, or maybe the Gulf of alienating our allies and neighbors. But the bottom line is, I agree with the majority of Americans who've been polled on this. The Gulf of Mexico doesn't need a different name.
Congressman Huffman, I mean, these comments obviously got our attention. Sponsored by Representative Green, who just dealt with a little bit of drama there with today's town hall in her own Georgia district. What do you think motivated this particular legislative effort at this time then?
Well, it's pretty clear. The motivation is to try to curry favor with Donald Trump. I mean, there is this cult that has developed, unfortunately, in one political party in our country right now. It's all about one man. It's all about his whims, his ego, what pleases him. It's unlike anything I've ever seen in the history of this country, almost unrecognizable, really, in a country where we're supposed to have a republic, not a monarchy with a king.
You did suggest, and you talked about it just a minute ago, about renaming the planet from Earth to Trump. Let's listen to part of that from last week.
If we're going to waste this committee's time just to glorify one man's ego, I propose that we at least be efficient about this, right? I mean, that's the theme of the day, efficiency from Doge and others. And so the great Wayne Gretzky once said, you don't skate to where the puck is, you skate to where it's going to be. And my amendment tries to do that. I mean, why do all of this Trump glorification in a piecemeal manner? Why not cut to the chase? And I am proposing that we rename the entire planet Trump.
Pretty funny there. But geographic naming, it's not the first time, right, that we've seen that in politics. But I guess the point you're making is where to draw the line.
Well, and I'm also trying to make the point that none of this should be about one man's whims. So this is a president who wants to rename the Gulf of Mexico in some display of nationalism where we would call it the Gulf of America. Nobody wants to do that. There have been polls on this. Not even people in the Gulf states. They overwhelmingly, to the tune of 70%, think we don't need to do this. We shouldn't do it. Meanwhile, he wants to go back to the old name for the largest mountain in Alaska, Mount Denali. He wants to go back to calling it Mount McKinley. Overwhelmingly, the people of Alaska, including Republicans in Alaska, want to call it Denali, which is its traditional name. But Donald Trump has his own ideas. And so, you know, it's almost, that's why I say it's almost unrecognizable, this country, this America that we are becoming, if we're going to allow one man to act like a king where his whims and dictates carry the day and even carry the day over what the public wants.
And for the record, you did withdraw that amendment, renaming it Trump.
Yeah. Look, this was a deeply unserious bill. It was a deeply unserious hearing, and so why not have deeply unserious amendments to try to make some of these points? That's where I was going.
I just learned, actually, a fellow member there for the Committee of Natural Resources, Addison McDowell, is an alum of UNC Charlotte. And what was the reaction from colleagues like him, who's a Republican, on both sides of the aisle to your comments and this bill in general?
I haven't talked to any of my Republican colleagues, but I would say this. There are serious things affecting the Carolinas right now that we ought to be talking about and working on. You know, the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, the most visited park in the country, and the Appalachian Trail are still closed because of Hurricane Helene's impacts. Hurricane Helene, by the way, that was made a lot worse because of the climate crisis that this president believes is not a real thing. At a time when we're trying to get these parks and these public resources back open, they are dramatically cutting funding for national parks. And so it's going to be a terrible summer in a place that depends on recreation as an important part of the economy. We should be talking about things like that, and instead we're trying to rename things and please the great cult leader.
Yeah, I was going to say NOAA was something you mentioned last week, that some of the attention should be to that. Of course, in the Carolinas, we deal with hurricane season, which we are coming up on towards the end of May, right?
Absolutely. You talk about a part of the country that is uniquely at stake when we talk about the climate crisis. And, in places like Hatteras, your viewers know that the climate crisis is real. This is not a hoax. These are real homes collapsing into the Atlantic Ocean because of sea level rise and extreme weather. So we're taking a dangerous turn with our climate policy, with all of the destruction that Elon Musk and these Doge folks are wreaking in our federal agencies, and to have it happen at a place like NOAA, where we all depend on accurate weather forecasting and science and critical services. Gosh, for a place like South Carolina, North Carolina, this should be what everybody's talking about.
Absolutely. Any way to take that turn for constructive alternatives for the things that matter that the committee should be focusing on?
Well, I'm in the minority in this Congress, as you know, so, we have to use the limited tools that we have to try to redirect the conversation back to those things. But we're trying in every way that we can. We're having shadow hearings. When we debate bills like the absurd bill to rename the Gulf of Mexico, we try to bring it back to things like the climate crisis and what's happening in NOAA with the loss of accurate weather forecasting and climate science. And we'll just keep doing that. I'm grateful that you're giving me a chance to talk about some of those things now.
Absolutely. Congressman Jared Huffman from California talking on points regarding the Gulf of Mexico or Gulf of America Act, H.R. 276, but also things that are not in, per se, your geographic region, but do affect Americans across our country.
Yeah, I represent a coastal community, and I know coastal communities on the Atlantic coast face some of the same threats and concerns that I do out here in California.
All right. Appreciate your time. I'm headed that way in a few days, so looking forward to that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congressman Jared Huffman. Back out here live on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Jane Monreal. It's been a busy week. We're closing out this Good Friday with some fun news, okay? I want to put this on your radar for next Thursday, NFL Draft Special. Yes. Not quite sure what's happening.
I only got 5 seconds of doing that because,
exactly.
Yeah,
we're talking about the NFL Draft Special with Locked On. Draft night is next Thursday night, so keep it here on WCNC Plus, or tell your spouse, friends,
family,
children,
cousins,
all over the world,
everybody,
to download WCNC Plus to your TV. That way you can watch for free. They're going to keep it with Locked On with Locked On, and talk about it. What are the Panthers going to do, Nick?
Okay. So
Nick Sturdivant is here.
Hey, everybody. Good morning. So every year I track like 3 different mock drafts. And so right now, a couple of mock drafts, I'm looking at USA Today's, and it says we're going to take linebacker. He could play D-line. Jalen, he's an edge rusher. Jalen Walker from University of Georgia. Okay. Because the Panthers had, to say they had the worst defense is an understatement. It was a pretty bad defense last year, so we need to do something on the D-line. Derek Brown got hurt. But also saw a mock draft where it has us trading back to get another edge rusher. I forget the guy's name, but trading with I forgot the team. It's so many mock drafts to keep up with.
I know.
But Panthers, I think they're going to go defense.
You think defense?
Defense.
We need them both.
Yeah, we need a wide receiver. I would love.
A little spark towards the end there last season.
Yeah. I would love to get a D lineman and a wide receiver in the first 2 rounds.
We all want things.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's going to happen. But look, I think where it hurt us last year was the D-line.
Yeah.
And then we just needed a big play wide receiver. But maybe Xavier Legette steps up and becomes that big play wide receiver.
Oh, that would be good. Mm-hmm. That would be good. Hey. All right. Well, wishful thinking. Maybe you're going to weigh in with Carboni and Danielle.
I keep saying I'm going to pop up to the special the 24th. At Bank of America. If they let me in, that's they got to let me in first.
You need that too. All right, we aired your interview with NC Department of Public Safety with the speeding campaign.
Yep.
Because we know you were all caught up with some breaking news yesterday afternoon. Really was from the morning we went on. And
it was a marathon. Yeah.
to the end of the day, and what do you have this afternoon?
So yeah, we're going to talk about the speed campaign with Highway Patrol, North Carolina Highway Patrol. Also, we're going to take you to Chimney Rock because they continue to recover and bounce back. They will be opening soon. That town and businesses are starting to open back up. We'll have an update on that bus crash, that tragic, deadly bus crash on 77 in Chester County. And an update on that shooting on Florida State's campus. I got a chance to have a close friend that went to Florida State. She has connections there. I texted her yesterday just to give her my thoughts and prayers. But it's just a tough situation
Tough
there.
day.
Yeah.
It was a tough day. I, being from Florida, it's all Florida State, Miami, and Florida fans all over. So I texted one of my best friends. Oh my goodness, her daughter went there. I thought she was still there, but she already got her master's from FSU. And I said, "Is River okay?
Yeah.
She's still, going to school?" She goes, "She actually graduated." And this is before we knew a lot, so she had not known what happened there on campus, and it was, obviously so tragic to have to pass along that news to friends, and then she telling her daughter, and the whole ripple effect and what their circle of friends must be going through right now. Well, we talked about decomposing or decompressing.
Decompressing. I was like, wait, what?
It's Friday, guys. Sorry.
Oh man.
We talked about mental health.
Okay, I was trying to keep
unwinding.
I was trying to keep it together. I was like, wait, what?
My mind
decompressing.
decomposing.
Decompressing. Look.
What did you do after yesterday?
Yes, what
did you decompress?
Because that's important for us folks.
I read yesterday. I was on my couch. I turned off screens and didn't watch TV. Read for a little bit. But look, I'm not ashamed to say this. I tell people this is a useful tool. I have a therapist that I see every 2 weeks, and so that's a great outlet. And a great resource for me because this job can be heavy.
Yes.
We hear a lot of news,
Right.
We also have personal lives outside of this.
That's right.
So that's one of the ways I decompress.
Well, I talked to the crisis counselor, licensed clinical counselor.
Clinic social worker, licensed clinical social worker.
He's a professional.
Yeah.
And that's
It's a long
exactly
title.
what he said. Yes, exactly what he said. We have lives outside of this. We do what we need to do, but we also need to find a way to decompress. Yep.
Yeah.
Decompress. All right. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter, yeah.